You've heard it 1,000 times. Just be yourself. It sounds empowering, doesn't it? Like freedom, like truth. But if that's all it took, why do you still feel stuck? Why do you still second-guess yourself, chase validation, or feel like you're playing a role in your own life? Let's be clear, being yourself has become one of the most dangerous lies in modern self-help. Because most people, they're not being themselves. They're being their conditioning. They're being their fears, their past wounds, the version of them that was built to survive, not to thrive. And here's the contradiction no one talks about. The version of you that you're clinging to might be the very thing holding you back. So ask yourself, what if being yourself is exactly what's keeping you from becoming who you were meant to be? Let's pull this idea apart and expose the truth behind the self-help advice machine that's quietly keeping the world weak. They told you to be authentic, to be real, to be you. But here's what they didn't tell you. You are not a fixed self. You are a process. You are a pattern. You are a product of everything you've been through and everything you've avoided. And when someone says, just be yourself, what they're really saying is, stay the same. Carl Jung called it the persona, the mask you wear to function, to belong, to feel safe. Most people think that's their true self, but it's not, because the parts you hide, your anger, your ambition, your insecurity, your shame, that's you too. And until you own those parts, you're not being yourself. You're being a filtered version of you, made to please and survive. And here's what science says. Neuroplasticity proves your brain is rewiring itself every day. You are not fixed. You are fluid. Your identity is malleable, shaped by intention or by accident. But most people don't choose. They default. They become the habits their parents taught them. They become the fear of rejection. They become the child who learned that staying small was the only way to be loved. You think you're being authentic, but you're just echoing your programming. That's the trap. The false self feels familiar. And because it feels familiar, it feels safe. But safe isn't real. Safe isn't true. Safe is just stagnation with a smile. So if being yourself means staying comfortable, you're not growing. You're looping. But here's the twist. Growth doesn't feel like authenticity. It feels like betrayal. And that's exactly where we're going next. You want to grow. You say you're ready to change. But when the moment comes, when the old identity starts slipping, something inside you panics. You freeze. You sabotage. You cling to the past. Why? Because real growth doesn't feel like a glow-up. It feels like betrayal. It feels like you're turning your back on who you thought you were. Because in a way, you are. Carl Jung called it individuation. The process of becoming whole. Not by polishing your persona, your mask, but by integrating the parts of yourself you've buried. The dark, the unknown, the rejected. To become who you're meant to be, you have to confront who you've been told not to be. And that creates cognitive dissonance, a mental war between your old identity and the new one you're building. Your brain literally flags change as a threat. Not because it's dangerous, but because it's unfamiliar. It's why so many people quit just before the breakthrough. They think the discomfort means something's wrong. But discomfort is the proof that something real is happening. Erik Erikson called it an identity crisis. And here's what he understood. You cannot build depth without shedding safety. You can't evolve without some kind of internal mutiny. Because here's the paradox. True authenticity isn't uncovered. It's forged. It's built, piece by piece, through conscious rebellion against your default self. You must betray the self you were trained to be in order to become the self you were born to become. So maybe you think change is hard. Maybe you think staying the same is easier. But that's the real illusion. Because the longer you cling to the familiar, the more you decay. Entropy isn't just a law of physics. It's a law of your mind. Without growth, your thoughts become stale. Your patterns become prisons. Your potential dries up. You don't stay the same. You slowly disappear. Psycho-spiritual regression is when you stop evolving and start repeating beliefs, repeating behaviors, repeating a life that quietly makes you smaller. And you'll call it authenticity. You'll say, "This is just who I am." But really, you're just signing a contract with your past. You're trading transformation for comfort, and you'll pay for it. Not all at once, but in days you can't get back, in potential that never surfaces, in relationships that feel shallow because you never went deep. Maslow taught us there's a hierarchy to human needs. At the top, self-actualization, not safety, not comfort, not just being yourself. The problem is, you've mistaken your cage for your core. And that's why the people who change the world, or even just their own lives, are the ones willing to die to the person they were yesterday. So the question now is, are you ready to leave the false self behind? So here you are. You've tried to follow the advice. Be yourself. Love yourself. Accept yourself. But what if the self you're clinging to isn't really you? What if it's just an echo of fear, of comfort, of survival? There comes a moment in every life where you face the truth. You are either growing, or you're protecting the version of you that's already dying. Growth is not about becoming someone else. It's about remembering who you could have been if fear hadn't raised you. This is not a call to self-love. It's a call to self-honesty. To see the masks you've worn, to see the games you've played, and to burn them. Because no one becomes powerful by accident. No one becomes whole by staying safe. You don't find your true self by performing. You find it by destroying the version that was never true. So stop chasing permission. Stop waiting to feel ready. Stop calling fear authenticity. Start with this. Question everything you think you are. Because underneath the false self is a fire that's been waiting for you. Now it's your turn. Kill the mask, forge the self, and never look back.